Welcome to In the Lobby, a brand new vertical of the Friday Reporter. I'm Lisa, your guide to where policy meets persuasion and strategy shapes society. Each week, we're pulling back the curtain on the fascinating world of lobbying. We'll sit down with some of the sharpest minds in the industry, those who navigate the intersections of government, business, and advocacy, to learn about what's driving decisions in Washington and beyond. From unpacking the art of influence to diving deep into the most pressing issues of the day, In the Lobby's your backstage pass to the stories and strategies that rarely make headlines. So grab a seat, settle in, and join me as we explore the power of connection, the pulse of policymaking, and the people behind the process. Let's get into it. Hello, and thanks so much for joining me for another episode of In the Lobby, which is part of the Friday Reporter podcast. Today's guests are two of my very good friends that are doing some really cool stuff in the lobbying space. Ben Klein and Katie Wise are at Red Blue Strategies, a brand new on the scene firm, but two people that have been at this for a while now. Katie, Ben, thanks you guys so much for being with me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right, so let's get into it. We're going to get into what Red Blue Strategies is and all the cool stuff that you guys are doing there. But tell me, let's start with Katie. Katie, tell me a little bit about how it is you came to be in Washington and doing what you're doing today.
I think like a lot of people, left college, left undergrad, and had a dream of coming to DC. I went home right after undergrad for a little bit to spend some time with my family in Boston, but quickly realized that DC was calling my name, and I had friends here already. So I moved here without a job. I think a lot of us do that.
Yes, you do.
A job and a prayer without a job. And I slept on someone's couch for a really long time until I got my first job on the Hill as staff assistant. And it just it went from there. I can't imagine like not being in DC, and I'm so glad that I like decided to leave home and come here, and I'll never look back. I will probably live here for the rest of my life.
Yeah, well, I like to say that I'm not hireable anywhere else. There's no other job for me to do anyway. So I better stay
You're
here.
really not.
Luckily, I have the best friends in the world. Ben, what about you? How did you get to be in DC?
Yeah, my story a little bit more by accident. I came to school at GW. My intent was to major in biology and go off and do something in like the health science world. And I decided while I was in DC to intern on the Hill because it kind of felt like you had to. So I interned for Bob Franks, a good congressman from Jersey, back in the day. And I discovered that the Hill was way more fun than biology and sitting in a lab. And so I quickly transitioned, ended up studying economics, political science, graduated, was fortunate enough to get a job working at the American Heart Association on their lobbying team. And that kind of launched me in the direction. And I haven't looked back ever since.
All right. So
You interned for a Republican.
I did.
I was going to get there.
I did.
You are definitely...
I don't know that he'd be a Republican by today's standards, but I did. I certainly did.
He's still a New Jersey Republican, which makes us unicorns in the rest of the world.
Well, I worked for a New Jersey Republican as an intern, and then I worked on the Hill later on for a North Dakota Democrat. So those are like pretty
similar sensibilities,
right.
No doubt. Okay, so hard question for both of you. I'll let Katie go first. House or Senate?
House.
Ben?
Oh, Senate. Not even close.
It's amazing you guys. It's amazing you guys are even sitting together. Okay, and nobody but us dorks that live and work here in this town know that you're either team House or team Senate all day long. Yeah. Katie, you spent your time in the House, which is where all the good things happen. After you spent your time up there, how'd you make the transition? Because it is a hard transition to go from working on Capitol Hill to then being a lobbyist in town. How was that transition for you?
Yeah, I worked for 3 awesome members on the House side, different delegations, started with the Oklahoma delegation, then Pennsylvania, then Florida. And, I wasn't necessarily ready to go downtown. but I knew that I needed to sharpen my skills. I think I always thought that I would and I think this is what everyone thinks when they go downtown, I do like a little touch, like I touch downtown and then I'd like jump right back. But I ended up meeting Ben and joining him at a firm and running a healthcare practice. And so I never really looked back. But I think I always thought I'd go to a trade association. I worked at the Federation of American Hospitals post leaving the Hill after about a decade. And I think I always thought that I would make it back there one day. The transition, I think, was hard. You go from sitting in a tiny lead shop with a bunch of people who are energized and excited to be there to like sitting in an office by yourself and you're like, hi, I'm here. Like, is there anyone else to talk to and hang out with?
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed my time at a trade. I learned a lot about servicing our members, which is kind of like servicing clients. And then I joined Ben to run our healthcare practice, and I never looked back. But it was an interesting time for sure. That transition is always a little bit rocky, I think.
Well, you go from really being in a position of, it's remarkable to me, and we've all spent time on the Hill, so we know this inherently, but you're so young and you can affect change so quickly in kind of a remarkable way. So you really have, you have more power than you even realize. And then you step away from it and it's like you've ceded a little bit of power. Now, there is also some power in being in a space where you can influence change from the outside in. You're the conduit to a lot of really good information. But it is harder than people realize to cross cross the city from Capitol Hill to K Street. Ben, how was your transition from the Hill?
Yeah, I mean, it was similar in a lot of respects. I mean, I was working for Senator Dorgan. When he announced he was retiring, I needed to figure out what I was doing next. And I thought about staying on the Hill or going downtown. And for me, I was his legislative director, did healthcare work, but I also worked on everything that he cared about at the moment. And so I wanted to work on a bunch of different issues. I didn't want to go to one company and just work on one thing all day long. And so for me, multi-client felt right from the start. And so I jumped into it. And very similar, like you do feel removed. But pretty quickly, you start to think, wow, if I went back to the Hill, I'd be so much more effective at my job. Like these are things I didn't think about when I was there. And so I have tried over my career to tell Hill staff what I would do differently, knowing how downtown works, because I think it is a unique skill set and it takes a long time to figure out how to be effective and then how to sell business, right? To describe what it is we do and how we can help. It takes a while to really pick up those skill sets.
You guys are both experts in the healthcare space, and I know you do a lot of work there. You went from a big, well-known firm in town, which is a very different model from where you are today. Could you guys tell me a little bit about how that transition has been in terms of when you're at a big firm, you have a lot of resources. Now you guys are really doing a little bit of all of it for yourselves. Talk to me a little bit about how that has been for you, that transition from a big firm to now your own firm that you're running.
Yeah, happy to start. I mean, for me, it's sort of going back to my roots. I think I was employee 7. And so we were, kind of small and scrappy. And grew along the way, which was amazing. But I think being small allows us to be all in on the clients we're working on. We take on a limited number of projects because we have limited bandwidth, but we can really become fully integrated with our clients, become their partners, and actually do the work day to day versus, running a larger team and making sure everything is moving along. And I think for me, and I think probably for Katie as well, like we like doing the work and being in the middle of it. That's the fun part.
Sure. Tell me a little bit about Red Blue Strategies and how you've built this new venture and what it looks like, Katie.
Well, we were fortunate to have worked with the folks that we partnered with, Melanie Nathanson and Meg Hauk. We've known them for a long time. They're pretty well established healthcare lobbyists, and we shared a lot of clients in common. And so there was a real natural partnership, both a D and an R, which is what Ben and I are. And I think we decided that we love to do this together, and we'd love to figure out the types of clients we'd like to work for, the types of projects that we found interesting. And so it's been really fun building this. I think Ben and I talked a lot about, before we decided to leave a big firm, owning the house that we're building, and really getting to make all of those little, even like the tiniest, what business cards look like, decisions. And it's been a great experience, and I've learned a lot. This is like exactly where I feel like I need to be, and I look forward to continuing. I think we talk about growing as necessary when the work is there, but really enjoying kind of getting back to like originally what I felt like we were working together on, which was being small, nimble, creative, working on like some innovative healthcare tech stuff, which Ben and I think particularly enjoy. So it's been a really good. What has it been, 5 months?
Yeah, it's been 5 months.
Yeah. 5 months.
Yeah, and it is everything. It's like when the printer breaks.
Just finally sleeping through the night at 5.
Yep.
So that's so cool. And I see how you would want, like you really like the thrill of the chase. You helped build one firm. You've got that firm. That firm is now well established. They're doing great work. You guys really enjoyed doing that. So now you've stepped out on your own to do it again, which is exactly what I love about DC. Me being my own I'm also a small business owner. Like, I feel like that's really fun when you can help one get built and then come out and do another one that's yours. Okay, so I have a couple questions. First one is, how does a Republican and a Democrat, because I know how this works, but I would like for the audience to understand this too. You guys both work on, like, everybody thinks that Republicans and Democrats do not get along and can't see eye to eye on issues. And I know how that can happen. Why don't you tell me in your words how it is an R and a D can work together on an issue that you both see eye to eye on and help affect change? Can you tell me a little bit about how that magic happens?
You start.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, we just like winning, and we like winning for our clients. And wherever the strategy takes us. I also think, like, politically, we're not that far off in how we see the world. And I think we probably agree on more things than we disagree on. We also discovered
breaking news here: Republicans and Democrats can get along. I love it.
I think we discovered after working together for 4 or 5 years that we both worked at a friendly serving ice cream early in our lives, and so maybe, like, we've had some common experiences, and maybe that has, like, shaped our worldview. But more often than not, we approach things through a very similar light, and come to the same strategies for our clients.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's crazy, and I don't think it's crazy, but I think to folks who don't live and breathe this every day, Ben and I align more politically than not, right?
I believe it.
There are things that I would say, what do you think, like 90%?
Yeah.
I would say we agree on 90% of the things. And the other things that we disagree about, we can have like full on dialogues about and not like want to kill each other, right?
That's awesome.
That is like what I feel like I came to DC for. That is very much what it was like when at my first job. And every boss that I had on the Hill had really deep friendships with Democrats. And I feel like I've taken that as I went downtown, and it's the way things are supposed to work, in my opinion.
Sure. And when you take client work, I mean, for people that don't necessarily understand how having an R&D shop would work, tell me if I'm getting this right. You guys come together, your client comes to you with a problem, and you both look at it through the lens of, how are we going to help Republicans understand this best? And how are we going to help Democrats understand this best? And how are we, to Ben's point, how are we going to win this for our client? And you're Senate too. He's Senate and House. So you have a little bit of that point of view as well. It's really nice to know that healthcare too, you're trying to win on behalf of people that need good healthcare, right?
Yeah, that's what makes it fun.
Tell me though, healthcare is vast, and I know you guys have some specific areas that you focus in on for your clients, because they're for every argument, there's 3 or 4 sides. Talk to me a little bit about, not specifically the names of the clients, because I know that those things are proprietary, but tell me a little bit about some of the issues that you all are advocating on behalf of. I know Katie said she worked for the hospitals. Can you tell me a little bit, give me a flavor of the kind of work you do?
Yeah. I mean, it's anything from reimbursement policy to Medicaid. Obviously, we're doing reconciliation right now, and so there's a lot of conversations around Medicaid reforms. And that's really acute in the hospital space. And I think what you do when you have kind of some of these, what seems like a real dogfight right now, you figure out how to message to Republicans on committees of healthcare jurisdiction, like what's the message that's going to resonate the most with them? Is it like the rural issue? Is it the sympathetic patient perspective? And so really trying to be able to articulate somewhat complex policy in a way that's approachable and easy to understand. And healthcare is really, really complicated. When you start talking about Medicaid policy, it's even more complicated. And so really trying to help folks navigate how did they talk to their constituents about changes that could occur in the Medicaid program. But our issues span, but that's a lot of the hospital work that we do. And I'll let you talk about like healthcare tech or
Yeah, I mean, I think really interesting mix of clients, established DC the companies that have a presence in DC. We also work with a lot of companies that are not in DC, and we essentially are their Washington office. And for them, it's oftentimes translating what is happening in Washington and where they can plug in. And in some cases, Washington is moving too fast. In a lot of cases, for our clients, it's moving too slow. And so being able to figure out how to engage and how to plug in companies that are doing really interesting work but don't understand the day-to-day flow in DC has been a ton of fun.
That's tough. That's tough. And it's tough because people, as we said earlier, right, we talk about how R's and D's can be friends and we see eye to eye 90% of the time. Outside of the district, people don't think that that's the way we're doing our work here in town. So having that kind of perspective is, I think, really good. Do you think that has become, you guys have been at this for a while, has it become easier or harder to translate DC out of the region to your clients?
Yeah, I think it has become easier. And I think, and we run into a lot of times where you speak to a prospective client and they think nothing is happening in DC. Republicans and Democrats can't get along. Nothing is getting done. And so sometimes it takes a little while to convince someone to engage. But I think when you look past what is in the headlines, there's a whole lot of stuff that is getting done below the surface. And so after we engage with clients and they see the progress and they see interest on both sides, they tend to be long-term clients who really get it and see DC as an opportunity to get things done.
What do you think when you guys talk about the future? Because you talk about growing the firm, you obviously are thinking around the corner, right? Because lobbyists have to be thinking that way. What's the next, right? Because we're in reconciliation season right now, but there will be other seasons that will come along. We've been at this. It's pretty cyclical. What kinds of trends are you following and watching? Is there something in particular that is like, that's an opportunity area, or that's an opportunity for us to help our clients be thinking about before? Because you're obviously forecasting for them too.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. We will get over reconciliation and regular order will come back to the House. And you have members on both sides of the aisle who are really eager to do the work that they came to Washington for, right? I think that sometimes it's hard to remember because there's so much noise that the majority of people who run for office and the majority of their staff, they came because they like truly believe they're doing good for the people that they represent, right? Like, this is not a job for the faint of heart. It's not always super fun, but typically those members come with an agenda. They have a perspective. They had other lives before they were politicians, and they want to bring that to DC. And so I think you have members who are very eager to get through reconciliation and get back to the work that they do on their committees every day. And I think downtown is ready for that too. It's the space that Ben and I enjoy working in the most, whether that's, appropriations, and we could talk about what's going to happen with inappropes this year. But whether that's appropriations or an end of the year healthcare extenders bill, I mean, there are a lot of items that need to be taken care of before the end of the year. And all of those present opportunities for people who are trying to affect change. And so I look forward to, while we're still in the middle of reconciliation, I really do look forward to getting back to kind of like the regular business of Congress.
And I would just add, there's a ton of innovation happening in the healthcare space around the country, and being able to bring that to DC, right, to figure out how do you deliver better care at a lower cost? How do you improve the experience of patients? How do you make some of these programs work better? Some of that is making better use of data that government already has. And so there's a lot of innovation, I think, being able to bring that into DC. And I think you can get a lot of bipartisan support. And so hopefully that's how we're spending the back half of this year.
Sometimes Ben talks about how much he feels like the Trump administration, you're going to skewer me for that. Like how quickly you can get things done when you find an eager partner in the administration. I love when he says that as a Democrat to clients, because it is true. You have folks in the administration who are unafraid to make big changes, and I think that can sometimes be shocking to downtown. But it's really cool to watch from a healthcare tech and innovator perspective, because there are these great opportunities to really effectuate change that hasn't happened for a really long time.
Did I hear Ben say something positive about that?
It is true. It is true. I mean, we certainly found this in the first Trump administration, that if you find the right champion, they're empowered to move quickly, and so that can be a huge opportunity for a lot of different stakeholders.
And I'm crushing his Democratic street cred right now. I should probably.
I don't think actually.
We'll edit this part out.
Actually, I think we're happy to tease you all day long, Ben. But I do think, Katie, that you make a really good point, and Ben does as well. Is that that's really what the voters are asking for, is change. They're asking for people to be willing to make that adjustment, set aside partisanship and get some things done. And like or hate, everybody's got a point of view on the administration. I do think that there are people that are willing to do and make adjustments that could maybe be really positive. So that's cool. It makes your job a lot more fun, I would think, too, because if you could find a champion, somebody that's willing to do some new, cool, good things, that's great. Okay, so it's prediction time, and I need to know, and there's no wrong answer. Does reconciliation get done before July 4th?
Ooh. Ben's been really wrong. I shouldn't say this because that's bad for business, but Ben's been really wrong up until this point. I've been very right. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
I think July 4th is aggressive. I do think that there is utility in using the momentum, which I think you saw this in the House. They really needed to kind of use all these benchmarks to usher it through. And it wasn't easy at the end of the day, but they got it done. I think Leader Thune feels the need to use that momentum. I think July 4th is aggressive, but I do think the timeline in the House at least helped Speaker Johnson get it through. So I say it falls a little bit later in July, but I think we get it done by the August recess.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the debt limit is driving a lot of the timeline, and that is before the August recess.
Yeah.
I think my sense is they want to move where there's momentum. I don't know how you factor in the Elon Trump back and forth and whether that, changes. We obviously saw in December, the appropriations bill quickly fall apart after there were, a lot of tweets back and forth, and that probably doesn't happen here. But you're probably right. I mean, at some point between now and the August recess would be my guess.
Okay. I totally said that there's no way they get the thing done out of the House before Memorial Day, and they did. So I was shocked. I thought you were going to say...
I was with you.
Okay. All right. Well, I've been wrong. I was wrong too. I mean, I really didn't think that it would happen, and I was surprised. I think the House continues to surprise us.
Yeah.
I also think that the playbook that we have been working with for all of the years that you guys and I've been here in town is no longer in the mix, right? We are seeing things happen in a way that we've never seen before. Do you think that creates opportunity for you guys, though?
Yeah, I do. I think to your point on how the playbook isn't exactly the same, we've seen the House, and hats off to people like Jason Smith, or Chairman Smith, who chairs Ways and Means. Like, he really conferenced with Senate Finance. And I think you're seeing that play out. And yes, things are, there are different rules in the Senate compared to the House, but I feel like you're seeing a reconciliation process that is fundamentally different than we've had in the past. And things will fall out because of the Byrd rule and all of that. But it's been really incredible to watch. And I do think it creates opportunity. I also think that it's phenomenal that chairs of committees and leadership in the House and Senate are communicating a little bit more. Typically, even when the House and Senate are of the same party, you kind of have this like competitiveness with the House and Senate. You can even hear it between Ben and I sometimes talking about what chamber is better, right?
Yeah.
But I think you've seen them do this in consultation with one another, and it's been really interesting and fun to watch. And so I think that creates opportunity across the board if the Senate and the House are willing to play ball a little bit more with each other.
For sure.
It's been surprising to me that the Republican caucus has been able to hold together and deliver some of these votes. I would have assumed it would not happen.
Right.
And we'll see. Like, I'm not sure politically, right? Like, I do think this is going to become a big issue in the next election cycle. We'll see how it ultimately shakes out. But I think for the moment, there's a lot of momentum to get something done.
The Senate has the spotlight is really on the Senate right now too, Ben. And this is the first real test for Leader Thune, first real time that we've seen, how that works from all of our, the bird's eye view from the cheap seats over here. What do you think? What are you watching in the Senate right now, Ben? Because this, to me, this is your time to shine. This is when you're really paying attention to like all of the new factions and what's happening. What should we be watching? Like, what are you watching? What are you paying attention to?
I think one of the strategies that I think Thune is undertaking this time around is working with the White House from day one, and so that there's not a lot of distance between the White House and what they're trying to achieve. And I think that's been helpful. He's been able to deploy the president to call senators that are raising concerns. But the dynamic is similar in the House. There are moderates who are concerned about some of the Medicaid cuts, who are concerned about phasing out some of the clean energy tax credits. There are conservatives who want more spending cuts. I do think the Senate's going to make some changes. I think we'll see some of the dates get shifted around kind of at the margins, but it does seem like he has been able to keep the caucus together, that they need to pass something. Because at the end of the day, I mean, what I would secretly want, or maybe not secretly as a Democrat, is them not to get something done. And they would have to come to Democrats at the end of the year to do a bipartisan tax package where, it would look very different. But I think that is something that they probably realize, that if they're not able to get this over the finish line, their next shot is to come to Democrats and try to cut a deal. And so I think that is kind of keeping everyone in line. But so far, I think they're holding together. We'll see. I mean, they have to go through the Byrd rule process and a bunch of steps to get this across the finish line.
I got asked a hard question, Ben. I wonder if you could answer it for me. I'm not sure that there is a right answer, so there's no wrong answer here. The other day I did Bloomberg, and I was asked, what do the Democrats when they have to get together on the debt limit? What is the House? What do Democrats ask of House Republicans and get in order to get the debt ceiling deal done? I said I had no idea.
Yeah, I think the debt ceiling will probably get done in this bill. But I mean, one of the big items on the Democratic side are extending the enhanced subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, and so those expire at the end of the year. And so for a lot of families, their health care costs are going to go up considerably if that doesn't get done, which is interesting because it's a lot of Republicans are definitely expending a lot of political capital to keep tax rates level, right? Like they're not increasing.
Yeah.
But I think when healthcare costs increase, that's going to create a lot of pressure. And so that's something we'll see Democrats talk about on the Senate floor. I think that is high on the list of things that we would like to get done.
Should have called you before I did that TV hit.
I mean, I also think it's different in the House, or the dynamics on the ACA enhanced subsidies are very different in the House GOP conference. But you're going to have senators who, and I think you've seen some folks on the Republican side at least mention, being concerned about the expiration. And we have some senators up in some vulnerable seats. Although the math is good for us on the Senate side, but it will be an interesting dialogue post, I think, the reconciliation piece.
Well, good for business for Red Blue Strategies. You guys are going to be busy.
Wait.
I can't even believe it, but here we are again at the end of 30 minutes. I am so excited for you guys. Congratulations on the new business. We get to the final question. Hardest one I'm going to ask is, who should I talk to for a feature episode of In the Lobby?
I'm going to go first?
Yeah, go.
I think you should talk to Abby Overland at the Alpine Group, who is relatively new to the Alpine Group. I worked with Abby at Palantir. I think she's fabulous, and I think she has a really good perspective. And I think she's new to doing multi-client work and is crushing it.
Awesome.
I'm going to suggest our partners. They're really, there's a lot of similarities, but I think when you talk to them, we all fit together kind of like a puzzle piece. They have different skill sets than Ben and I do, and it's super complementary, and they have been doing this. Originally, they've been doing this, just the two of them, for 14 plus years.
Awesome.
And I think their story is pretty interesting. So I think we should talk to Mel and Meg.
Love it. All of those are dynamite recommendations. Thank you. This is the newest vertical of the podcast, so I appreciate you guys coming on. I appreciate you telling me about Red Blue Strategies. I'm excited for you. You're going to crush it. I'm super, super thrilled and excited to share this episode with our friends here in Washington. Thank you for being my guests.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode of In the Lobby, where we connect you to the people and policy shaping our world. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the show with your network. It helps me bring these important stories to even more listeners. And if you'd like to get in touch, have a guest suggestion, or just want to say hello, you can reach me directly at lisa@fridayreporter.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time here on In the Lobby.